Decisions are not moments of pressure. They are system interactions with uncertainty. This audio contains 15 steps for making decisions clearly, without waiting for certainty. Each step describes how good decisions are formed, tested, corrected, and committed to. You are not here to find the best decision. There is no such thing. You are here to learn how to decide, act, and adjust. Oh. One. Decisions are not thoughts. They are interventions. You think a decision is something that happens in your mind. It is not. A decision is an intervention in a system. The system includes time, uncertainty, feedback, and you. You stand at a fork and imagine outcomes. But outcomes do not exist yet. Only probabilities exist. The moment you decide, you introduce a signal into reality. That signal moves through time and interacts with forces you cannot see in advance. This is not a flaw. This is how systems work. You overestimate how much thinking improves outcomes. Thought refines hypotheses. Action generates data. Before action, you operate with estimates. After action, you receive feedback. Feedback is the only source of real information. This is why clarity often arrives after commitment. The system reveals itself only once you touch it. You fear choosing incorrectly because you imagine decisions as permanent. Most are not. Most decisions are reversible interventions with delayed feedback. The mistake is not choosing the wrong option. The mistake is designing decisions as if they are final when they are not. In reality, good decision-making is exposure management. You manage downside. You preserve upside. You allow learning to occur before locking in. A well-formed decision does three things. It commits enough to generate information. It limits irreversible damage. It keeps future option alive. If you cannot know the correct path in advance, you do not wait. You probe, you act small, you observe, you update. This is not indecision. This is how intelligent systems explore possibility space. Actionable rule. When uncertain, choose the smallest reversible action that produces real feedback.
Separate the decision from the outcome. You confuse the quality of a decision with the result it produces. This is a category error. Outcomes are influenced by randomness, timing, and hidden variables. Decisions are evaluated by process, not by luck. A correct decision can lead to a poor outcome. An incorrect decision can lead to success. This does not invalidate the decision. If you judge decisions only by results, you will learn the wrong lessons. You will reinforce superstition instead of skill. A sound decision uses the best information available at the time. It accounts for probability, not certainty. It accepts that variance exists. You cannot control outcomes. You can control reasoning, constraints, and exposure. This is why fear persists. You are trying to guarantee success through choice. That is not how reality operates. Instead, you build a repeatable process. A process that performs well over many decisions, not one. The decision makers optimize for expected value over time, not single wins. They accept short-term losses in exchange for long-term signal. When you hesitate, ask yourself a different question. Will this work? But is this a decision I would make again under the same conditions? If the answer is yes, commit. If the answer is no, refine the process, not the courage. Detachment from outcome is not apathy. It is precision. You are not here to predict the future. You are here to interact with it intelligently. Actionable rule. Judge a decision by the quality of the process you used, not by the result it produced.
3. Most decisions are 2 different decisions. You believe you are making one decision. In reality, you are making 2. The first decision is whether the choice is reversible. The second decision is what action to take. You skip the first. That is why you feel pressure. Irreversible decisions require caution, narrow scope, and delayed commitment. Reversible decisions require speed, experimentation, and motion. When you treat reversible decisions as irreversible, you inflate fear. When you treat irreversible decisions as reversible, you accumulate damage. This distinction alone eliminates much confusion. A reversible decision is one where you can retreat without catastrophic cost. Time, money, reputation, and energy can be recovered. An irreversible decision collapses options, it locks future paths. Most daily and professional decisions are reversible. You misclassify them. You imagine permanence where there is flexibility. This causes paralysis. Intelligent systems move quickly on reversible choices. They slow down only when the door truly closes behind them. The goal is not certainty before action. The goal is cheap reversibility. You act, observe, and correct. This is not recklessness. It is system-aware behavior. Fear decreases when you see exits clearly. Before deciding, ask a more precise question. Not what if I am wrong, but can I reverse this if I am? If you can, delay no longer. Actionable rule. First, classify the decision as reversible or irreversible. Then match your speed to that classification.
Clarity is a lagging indicator. You wait for clarity before you act. This reverses the causal order. Clarity is not a prerequisite for decision-making. It is a byproduct of interaction with reality. Before action, you operate with models. After action, you receive data. Data reduces uncertainty. Thinking does not. This is why prolonged analysis feels productive but produces no movement. You are refining internal models without updating them against the world. In complex systems, certainty is unavailable in advance. Only approximation exists. You are not failing when you feel unclear. You are simply pre-contact. Clarity emerges when feedback loops close. Feedback requires time and exposure. This is why small actions outperform perfect plans. They shorten the feedback cycle. You do not need confidence to act. You need containment of downside. When downside is bounded, action becomes information gathering, not risk-taking. You do not wait for clarity. You design actions that create it. This refrees uncertainty from a threat into a tool. The correct question is not, do I see clearly? It is, will this action help me see more clearly? If the answer is yes, proceed. Actionable rule. Do not wait for clarity. Act in ways that force reality to clarify itself. Optimization is the enemy of motion. You search for the best option among many good ones. This search consumes your energy and produces no movement. When multiple choices are viable, optimization offers diminishing returns. The differences between good options are often smaller than the noise of reality. You assume that selecting the best option matters more than committing to one. This assumption is false. In most systems, progress comes from motion, not precision. The system rewards iteration, not hesitation. Optimization is valuable only when the decision is irreversible. The stakes are extreme. The information is stable. Outside these conditions, optimization delays learning. You are not failing to decide because you lack intelligence. You are failing because you are solving the wrong problem. The problem is not which option is best. The problem is which option moves me forward with acceptable downside. Once that threshold is met, further comparison is waste. Good decision makers satisfice first, then refine through action. They do not attempt to compute perfection in advance. When you face many good choices, the correct response is not analysis. It is selection followed by commitment. The system does not reward perfect starting points. It rewards consistent interaction. Momentum creates optionality. Stasis destroys it. Actionable rule. When multiple options meet your criteria, choose one quickly and redirect excess thinking into execution.
When options multiply, you experience uncertainty. This is not because the world is unclear. It is because your identity is. Choices expand when values are undefined. They contract when identity is stable. A system cannot optimize without constraints. You are the constraint. You attempt to decide by forecasting outcomes. This is fragile. Outcomes are noisy. Identity is stable. The strongest decisions are not those with the highest expected value. They are those that are consistent with who you are becoming. When identity is clear, many options disappear automatically. Not because they are bad, but because they are irrelevant. This is not limitation. This is compression. You reduce cognitive load by deciding in advance what kind of actor you are. This transforms choice into alignment. Instead of asking, what will work best? You ask, what would someone like me choose here? This is not emotional reasoning. It is system efficiency. Over time, identity-based decisions compound. They create coherence. Coherence reduces doubt. Doubt consumes energy. You do not need to choose perfectly. You need to choose consistently. Actionable rule. Define the identity you are acting from. Then eliminate any option that contradicts it. 7. Uncertainty is a measurement gap, not a threat. You interpret uncertainty as danger. This is an error. Uncertainty is the distance between what you would need to know to be certain and what you can know in advance. It is informational, not moral. No amount of thinking can close this gap completely. Only interaction reduces it. Systems do not punish uncertainty. They punish unmanaged exposure. When uncertainty is high, the objective is not confidence. It is asymmetry. You structure decisions so that downside is limited and upside remains open. This converts uncertainty from a risk into a resource. Small bets achieve this. They cap loss while preserving learning. Large commitments under uncertainty do the opposite. They magnify error. You are not meant to eliminate uncertainty before acting. You are meant to design actions that survive it. This is why reversibility matters. This is why scale matters. The correct response to not knowing is not delay. It is proportional engagement. You advance in increments that are small enough to be corrected. Each increment produces data. Data narrows uncertainty, not certainty, but direction. Actionable rule. Under high uncertainty, scale decisions down until mistakes are survivable and information is produced. Information lives on the other side of action. You believe you lack information. In reality, the information you need is inaccessible without movement. Some knowledge cannot be researched. It must be experienced. This creates a paradox. You want more information before acting. But acting is the only way to obtain it. This is why waiting feels safe but produces stagnation. You are waiting for data that cannot arrive. Systems reveal themselves only when stressed lightly. They do not disclose structure to passive observers. When you act even imperfectly, you generate signals.
These signals are more valuable than speculation. This is why small experiments outperform exhaustive planning. They cross the boundary between assumption and reality. You do not need to know everything. You need to know what happens next. Each action answers one question, then another. This is how intelligent exploration works. If you want certainty, you will never move. If you want direction, you must step forward. Actionable rule. When information is missing, act specifically to obtain it rather than waiting for it to appear. 9. Speed is a function of reversibility. You ask how fast you should decide. This is the wrong variable. Speed is not determined by urgency. It is determined by recoverability. When a decision can be reversed, delay has no benefit. Speed increases learning. When a decision cannot be reversed, haste compounds error. Time protects you. You experience anxiety because you apply one speed to all decisions. This creates mismatch. Fast decisions feel reckless when they should be fast. Slow decisions feel heavy when they should be light. Intelligent systems modulate speed automatically. They move quickly where correction is easy. They pause where correction is costly. This is not intuition. It is structural awareness. You do not need confidence to move fast. You need exits. When exits exist, speed becomes safe. When exits do not exist, caution becomes rational. Most opportunities decay with time. Most irreversible commitments do not. Knowing which is the skill. Actionable rule. Decide quickly when reversal is cheap, and slow down only when reversal is impossible.
Optionality is more valuable than certainty. You attempt to decide in a way that removes doubt, as sacrifices something more important. Certainty collapses possibilities. Optionality preserves them. In uncertain environments, the ability to adjust matters more than the ability to predict. Systems that survive do not guess directly. They remain flexible. Optionality means maintaining paths forward. It means avoiding decisions that trap you early. You gain optionality by keeping commitments small, avoiding irreversible structure, preserving time, capital and energy. This is not avoidance, it is strategic positioning. Instant commitment requires full closure. It does not. You can commit to direction without committing to form. You can move forward without locking yourself in. The mistake is believing that clarity demands finality. In reality, clarity emerges through preserved freedom. When you protect optionality, you reduce fear. Fear arises when you feel cornered by your own choices. An intelligent system does not rush to close doors. It walks through them carefully, one hinge at a time. Actionable role. Prefer decisions that keep future options open, unless there is a clear advantage to closing them.
11. Time is a decision variable. You treat time as a backdrop. It is not. Time changes probabilities. It reveals information. It magnifies both good and bad decisions. Some decisions improve if delayed, others decay. The skill is not speed or patience, it is timing. When information is actively arriving, waiting has value. When no new information is coming, waiting is avoidance. You must ask a sharper question. Will time make this decision clearer, or merely later? Delay without signal is stagnation. Delay with signal is strategy. Time also compounds commitment. The longer you act in one direction, the harder it becomes to reverse. This is not a warning. It is a lever. You do not need to decide everything now. You need to decide what must be decided now. Good decision makers stage decisions. They decide in layers, not all at once. They use time to test alignment before locking in. Fear decreases when you stop demanding final answers prematurely. Actionable rule. Use time deliberately. Wait only when it increases information, and act when waiting adds nothing. You are afraid of the wrong question. You believe you fear the wrong decision. This is inaccurate. You fear being judged by the outcome of a complex system you cannot control. This fear distorts the question you ask. You ask, what if this is not the best choice? This question is unanswerable. It demands certainty where none exists. Better questions reduce fear, poor questions amplify it. The correct questions are structural. Does this decision expose me to irreversible damage?
Does this action generate information? Does this align with who I am becoming? Can I adjust after I act? When these questions are answered, fear loses authority. Not because the future is known, but because the system is navigable. Fear persists when you treat decisions as verdicts on your intelligence or worth. They are not. A decision is a move in a sequence. No single move defines the game. When you frame decisions as final judgments, hesitation feels rational. When you frame them as inputs, movement resumes. You do not need to eliminate fear. You need to stop letting it choose the question. Actionable rule. Replace "what if this is wrong" with questions that test reversibility, learning, and alignment.
Indecision is a decision with the worst asymmetry. You believe indecision keeps you safe. It does not. Indecision is not neutrality. It is an action with consequences. When you do not choose, the system still moves. Time advances. Options decay. Others decide for you. Indecision has a unique asymmetry. It preserves all uncertainty while producing no information. It consumes time without generating feedback. This is why prolonged indecision feels heavy. You're paying costs without receiving signal. You avoid choosing to prevent regret. Instead, you accumulate it. Action, even imperfect action, creates structure. Structure reduces ambiguity. You're not meant to pause indefinitely at forks. Forks exist to be crossed. Waiting is only rational when it improves the decision. Otherwise, it is disguised fear. A system that never commits cannot learn. A system that never learns cannot improve. Choosing does not trap you. Staying still does. Actionable rule. If waiting does not improve information, decide. Because indecision carries the highest hidden cost.
14. Fear appears when you demand guarantees. You experience fear most strongly when you demand certainty from a system that cannot provide it. Fear is not a warning signal about the decision itself. It is a signal that you are asking reality for guarantees. There are none. Complex systems do not offer assurance. They offer probabilities, feedback, and correction. When you demand the best decision, fear grows. When you demand commitment to a direction, fear recedes. Fear decreases when you stop framing decisions as irreversible judgments on your future. Most decisions are not verdicts. They are entries into a learning loop. You imagine regret as proof of failure. This is incorrect. Regret is data. It informs the next decision. The attempt to avoid regret entirely produces paralysis. The willingness to accept it produces momentum. You do not remove fear by thinking longer. You remove it by designing decisions that survive error. When downside is bounded, fear loses leverage. When correction is possible, courage is unnecessary. You are not here to choose flawlessly. You are here to choose repeatedly and improve. Fear fades when you accept this role. Actionable rule. Stop demanding guarantees. Design decisions so mistakes are survivable and instructive.
Commitment complete a decision. A decision is not complete when you choose. It is complete when you commit. Choice selects a direction. Commitment supplies energy. Without commitment, decisions remain theoretical. They do not interact with reality. You hesitate because you believe commitment should follow certainty. This sequence is incorrect. Commitment creates the conditions in which clarity emerges. There is no best decision waiting to be discovered. There is only a set of viable decisions waiting to be enacted. Once enacted, one becomes real. Reality then responds. You do not need to know that you chose optimally. You need to know that you will act consistently with the choice you made. Commitment converts a decision from a question into a process. When you commit, you stop relitigating the choice. You redirect energy from comparison to execution. This is the final release of fear. Not because risk disappears, but because doubt loses authority. You are not rewarded for selecting perfectly. You are rewarded for engaging fully. There is no best decision, only commitment. Actionable rule. Once a decision meets your criteria, commit fully and stop reopening the choice unless new information arrives.